Hey everyone, this is Brano, and today I wanted to talk about designing around content creation. So, marketing is very important in video games, and as I do more of it, the more I realize is that it is so much more than just promotion. Like, you really have to figure out how to create a game that people will want to share with other people, which means that you really have to design around how do I think people, like, if I make a fun game, how would people make content around the game? Like, you've still got to make a good game. That's always going to be the most important thing, but there is that little bit of consideration that can be had to where a YouTuber would make a video on it because it's easy for them. And I say this because the majority of people will directly or indirectly get their game curation because there's so many games out. People go to curators to tell them what game is worth playing so you don't have to go swimming through the muck to find a game that's worthwhile. And the hardcore gamers will get their game recommendations through the content creation, like the content creators that they like. And those hardcore gamers will then inform the core audience of your game if it's worth playing or not. So you got to design around them. And I think the first most important thing is that you have to have a free corner in your game where there is no user interface. This is something that I didn't really do in Heal to Death. In fact, I'm already hiding UI simply by doing this. So let me turn myself off. Okay, so you can see right there, I've got currency over here. I've got a map and a level here. I've got some UI elements here, and I've got some more UI elements here. Now, fortunately, for the most part, you can ignore this corner. It's the least important part of it. And you could probably also do this corner. But still, ideally, you want to have a free corner. And ideally, as well, you want to have an option to where people can choose where that free corner is going to be. I do think that corners are really nice for certain UI elements. And you shouldn't make everything super tuck into the screen. But you do want to have a case where there is anyone can choose any corner if possible. With that said, if you can't do that, then try to make sure that there's always one corner available for people to put their face in, because having a face cam is very important, especially during the era of like AI and stuff. Authenticity and being able to connect with a person, even if it's like parasocial, is important. So you really need to lay into that. Now, the other thing that you need to really work on is, why is someone going to continually make videos about your game? So there are Let's Plays, but that's really been no one really cares about them that much anymore because it's all live streaming now, and then you watch the raw live streams, which, you know, they're not really watching for your game. But if you have a game that has a natural endless mode potential, you really want to put a lot of effort into that endless mode. Like, sure, it may only cater to like 5 to 10% of your player base, but that like 5% of that player base, if they make content for you, that will inform a large number of casual players to just try out the casual mode. So I have a situation with Heal to Death where I have like 2.3% of players who have completed the game. That's less than 100 people who have completed the game. And I don't know if I want to create a new game. I don't think I will, because the audience isn't large enough, and I think that the session of like what could be like, I may do something. I may do something in the future. It largely depends on whether my artist wants to redo a bunch of the UI elements, because we've got a rev share going, and I'm not going to be putting in a huge amount of effort if I'm not going to get the full amount. So also, I just want to kind of move on and work on my next things. I will probably do a patch 1.1 event, a patch 1.2 eventually. But basically, with Heal to Death, it is a roguelite. It's not meant to be a endless mode roguelike. It's also not meant to be a continual single player experience. I think that maybe I should have made a bit more effort into making an endless gameplay loop for the game. It's a bit harder for the healer games, but definitely in the future, I will be thinking about an endless mode from the ground up. I need to have an endless mode. But what if you don't have an endless mode? Well, I think that Easter eggs and all this secret stuff, secrets are really good because it makes kind of like random people who are very curious about your game make videos, and if your game's good enough, that those videos will get hundreds of thousands of views of people watching it, and just through the sheer force of it, it acts as a really good marketing force. So I would definitely say that if your game is privy to an endless mode, you really want to consider making an endless mode. And if your game isn't privy to an endless mode, you want there to be secret content that not everyone's going to go for. But simply the fact is that as long as they buy the game and they're happy with their experience and they engage with the media outside of actually playing the game, that creates more virality for your video, and that informs more people. So more people will be more likely to know about your game, and then they can decide whether or not they want to play it or not. Now, another thing, but it's a bit scummy, is that you could delay a bunch of launch content so that you have a really rapid pipeline of major updates. So you can kind of garner a community that's used to making content about your game. You need to have a somewhat viral hit though, and you need to have a lot of initial marketing force. Also, is it really the best? I think this is the type of thing where it has to be done perfectionly. Otherwise, anything done in bad faith so easily backfires that I never touch it. And I feel bad about doing it. And I don't think it works for most people unless it's executed flawlessly. So I wouldn't do that, but that is something that you could potentially do if you've got a decent audience. With that said, though, you could also just justify it as like, look, we're drip feeding it. We're making sure that the community is healthy and always has something to do. And there are some like live service games where drip feeding it would actually be of the benefit to the game. Now, I didn't do much of this for Heal to Death, and I'm definitely going to be considering a lot more about content creators. And I think there are like lots of things that can actually well align with making a good game. Like you want moments where people would make videos about your game, where if it's just this consistently good loop, I think that doesn't encourage gameplay videos to be made about your game. So those are just some thoughts. They're very basic, they're very broad, and most of like the good ideas are going to be hyper specific to the game itself on, oh, if we do this, people will make videos about it. I think you have to consider it about your own product. Obviously, make a good game first. Make a good game first, but always consider content creation as something that you have to design around a bit. Anyway, that's it for me. Bye.